Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. It's 4:07. Let's go around the room and say who's here, and then we'll talk about who's on Zoom. Go ahead, Patrick.
Patrick Getterman, member.
Dean Benneman, Chairman.
Lee Tall, member.
Mary Wolosik, staff.
Jake Klingforth, staff. Shane Blazer, mayor.
Dawn DeSorcy, staff.
And we've got Tom Rayome on Zoom, Craig Raren's on Zoom, Chris Bartek. Who am I missing? Carolyn's on Zoom. Did I miss anybody else? And Tom Eklund's also on Zoom. First order of business, approve the November 8th, 2021 minutes. What are your, anybody?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion on the floor to approve by Lee. Do I have a second? Seconded by Shane. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition? Motion carries. Determine the day pass rates and the hours for the Aquatic Center. Don?
So we just put together the rates that were from last year for the day passes and then the rentable areas. And we based the hours for this coming season off of some of the requests that we had last year to stay open later into the evening. So that's what is all on the sheet that was included in the packet.
So basically, there are no changes as opposed to last year.
Just the hours, Dean. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we are now open till, we're proposing to be open till 7. And open up at 11 on Fridays instead of 10. 10 o'clock was tough for us last year, just to get the pool ready. You know, doesn't give us a very big window to, if we had to add chemicals and stuff like that. So 11 o'clock, and we just didn't see the patron load. Like, there wasn't 100 people waiting to get it at 10 o'clock.
And then I remember Mondays and
Offering.
We offer, on Monday and Wednesday, we had Aqua Jog. I've also had a request for Water Walk, Water Jog. So I plan on using the programming on Mondays and Wednesdays so that we could keep Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays open for the public for open swim later. I will also run swim lessons at that time. And we also have special groups that come in the morning before we open. And we also offer the Senior Lowell Center senior water exercise.
I just sent an email with that sheet that was distributed to you guys at the meeting so that everybody online can see it as well.
Your Honor, I was actually going to call on you.
Oh, what were you going to ask?
Have you had any other further talk about the rates being different?
And that's what I was just going to bring up, is that maybe it warrants this body to have a discussion and how they feel about the rates, since there is some concerns amongst some members of council that think that the visitor pass is too cheap. And so it's really kind of the discussion of maybe this body could have and see what their thoughts are, and maybe Dawn could explain, you know, some of the concerns staff has, or the summer staff has, and really, then we can take it from there.
Is it critical that we prove it by this meeting?
No.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
No, it doesn't have to be approved right now. I think the hours that would be important to approve, just because we're starting to do some recruitment for
Mhm.
summer staff. So we don't have to decide on the rates, I wouldn't think at this
Okay.
point.
Till closer to the opening, because
That's what I was wondering.
Right.
Okay.
until we start doing marketing material.
Well, I know there's been several comments at council about non-residents not paying a higher rate. So I know there's still some discussion on that. And also, I wanted to give staff an opportunity to talk about how that might cause challenges.
And maybe if Dawn could, maybe we can start the discussion. We don't have to decide tonight, but it'll
Exactly.
maybe start the discussion, and then it'll give everybody an opportunity to kind of chew on it. And over the next month or so, then we can hopefully further have that discussion, and then maybe kind of come up with a rate that's what everybody decides that it needs to be comfortable.
I think
So,
the main.
This is Craig.
I'm sorry?
Virtually, I'm having a hard time hearing when some folks are talking, but for clarity, there's concerns on the council that about the passes in what regard?
The non-resident rate is too cheap on a daily pass. Or no, I'm sorry, that there is no difference between the resident and the non-resident daily pass. And the thought should be that there should be a separation on a daily pass. That's the main
Okay.
concern.
Because the sheet we're looking at here says resident $4 and non-resident $7.
That is with the punch pass purchase, which is only available to residents. So they would buy $20 worth of, it would be 5 entries for $20, so then it would be $4 per entry. So there is a good break for residents in that way.
But if you show up on the day of that you want to swim, it's $7 no matter if you're a resident or non-resident, and it's probably easier because then with the summer staff isn't trying to determine whether people are residents or non-residents and kind of dealing with that there. But if I'm a resident, I have an opportunity to buy a punch pass and of 5 punches for $20 ahead of time. Or even buy it there if you want. Okay. But I think some of the council members think that the daily pass should have a resident and non-resident rate.
Okay, that makes sense now. I'm sorry. Sorry for the confusion.
Oh, no problem.
So do we know the number of daily passes that were non-resident versus resident last year?
No, because they did not capture that data.
So the reason for my question is we don't even know if we change the amount, how much revenue that would return.
You are correct. It would probably, I would think honestly, it'd probably reduce it. I'm wondering how many, and I'm just guessing here because if you show up, is it $7 if I'm a resident, but if there's a resident pass, daily pass rate, it most likely would be lower. So I'm going to assume probably the possibility that our daily pass rate revenue may go down, or if we keep it at $7 for a resident and raise it more for a non-resident. So it's really kind of that, trying to figure out where that sweet spot is, and if it's worth, like you said, is the difference going to make that much difference in the revenue?
So the council just doesn't like that the stated rate is the same. They really don't know that it would change the revenue.
Correct. I'm thinking, and I can't speak for the council, but I think that they think that the resident rate at the door should be cheaper because they're already paying it through taxes and those ways. But how it'll flush out at the end on what our totals are, we don't know.
And keep in mind that the season pass for resident versus non-resident is basically double the cost for a non-resident. So there is a big savings there also if you're a resident purchasing a season pass.
How did we do in season passes for non-residents?
I would have to look up the numbers. I can. We sold a lot of passes overall.
For non-residents?
Yes. Full.
Yeah, I'd be interested in
Okay.
knowing that, the number of those two.
The question is, when a user comes up to the register, and if they're, let's say, a bunch of friends, they're just using the same address, how do you differentiate whether they're resident or non-resident? Is it gonna put burden on the staff? And is that worth the time to up it by a dollar or so? You know, that's what we have to look at.
That's one of the issues that comes up.
And
It's
residents
hard.
already have the, you know, the rights to buy these punch cards or have the seasonal pass. So therefore, if you're a resident or not, when you come up there and you just want a, you know, a day pass, then I don't see why we would have to differentiate, oh, you're a resident, you're not a resident. If you don't have the initiative to buy the pass ahead of time, then you should just pay the one price. That's how I would see it. Just to be fair all across, so that we're not putting burden on the staff that are working there.
Well, not to, plus the fact that you have to, what's it called, geo-distancing, the driver's license says Wisconsin Rapids for
Right.
lots of people that don't live in Wisconsin Rapids.
But even still, I mean, if
Yeah, exactly, well, that's
if
the
my-
burden
my
that's the
group-
burden they'd be dealing with.
Yeah,
That's
if my
the-
group of friends go together, we'll just say, well, just use my address because I'm a resident. You can't say prove it, because these are underage kids, and they don't have an ID.
Or they could say, this is my stepsister, and we live together, but in the city of Rapids. So, yeah, how do you prove that?
Right, and I don't want to get into a policing type enforcement for the staff, that you have a group of kids that live down the street who may be busted into town, or parents may have dropped them off, and that's where they are for the day. Very common in Wisconsin Rapids for people who live outside of Rapids. And I think that'd be hard on staff as well. And plus, you know, if they have opportunities to save money other ways, I think it's fair to do like it is right now.
Something else to keep in mind, the city of Marshfield built an aquatic center, and rumor has it Plover is too. So, not that we built this to make money, but to, you know, give the residents something to do and serve the community, but we could have competition. So if we do raise the price, say to $10 for a non-resident, they'll just go to Marshfield or Plover. So, yeah, keep that in mind too.
Well, it's, yeah, we definitely give this some thought, and then there's a chance to talk, but I think we should move forward on, have a motion to approve the hours, I guess.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed hours of operation for the 2022 season.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve the hours of operation as proposed by staff for 2022. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition? Motion passes. And I'll reach out, and then, Dawn, if you could just shoot me an email with those, and I can at least talk to council members about it. But, oh, yeah, I didn't need it today. Next item on the agenda is to break the tie for the final name for park located at 681 Chestnut Street, Aquatic Center Park area. So, looks like we had a tie between Witter Park at 91 votes and Wisconsin Rapids Recreation Complex also at 91 votes. So, go ahead.
I guess it should be noted, though, that that there was another Witter Community Park with 61 votes, so
Okay.
152 people voted to change the name from the currently existing what is being called. For thought.
Any thoughts out in Zoom land over there?
The only thing that I personal opinion is I prefer the Witter approach with the nod to the community and the name of this area, you know, for a long time. But that's only my personal opinion. I just toss out there that the Quadplex is likely going to be the Rapids Area Sports Complex or Wisconsin Rapids Area Sports Complex. So the idea that those are very similar might cause some directional issues at some point in the future if we went with the Wisconsin Rapids Recreation Complex. Just tossing that out there.
Mr. Chairman? Dean, Tom Rayone here. Can you hear me?
Hi, Tom. Go
Hi
ahead.
there. Yeah. Good point, Dean. Craig, right now I think the park is technically called Witter Park, is it not? At least that's from what I've come up with. That's what's listed on the map, and that is Witter Park.
We're just kind of, Tom, this is Shane. We're just kind of sitting here. We're thinking it's just Witter Field, but we're not sure either.
Well, last fall I inquired, I guess, at the I think the clerk said I'd have, let's see what Craig, Craig Ashbeck, I think it was. He got me sent it back, and it looks. I'm not sure if this came off. It's the city map. I'm not sure where actually it came from, and this is back from October. But it shows in there what comes up on that map is Witter Park. On what he emailed to me, it's like kind of like the map that we used to be in the phone book from before. I'm not sure, but that's from his. He said that's
Is that the baseball field? Wait a minute.
That whole area. Mm-hmm.
But is it indicating the base? Is that name of the baseball?
it's indicating that whole area as Witter Park.
Witter Field.
If you Google it, I just Googled it real quick, just out of curiosity. If you Google it and you put in Witter Park, it brings up automatically Witter Field.
That's what.
And then if you're looking at the map, the whole area, Tom's correct, that whole area is green. And it's all, you know, the red is considered Witter Field is what it's listed. It doesn't say Witter Park. I'm talking Google now. And then also listed is the Wisconsin Rapids Recreation Complex. So there's a you know, a pin for that as well. But that's all within that green area. And in fact, when you Google Witter Park, it brings up, I think it's the first hit. Yes, Witter Field. So.
And Dean, I just pulled up our Wisconsin Rapids GIS map, and it comes up as Witter Field. So it looks like we have identity crisis.
Well, I think that's what probably most people knew it as was Witter Field. But
Correct.
and the
Tom.
map that the map what I was emailed me at Witter Park, but that we have the, you know, maybe we have the Aquatic Center there on the one end, you know, maybe that we keep something like either the Witter Field or Witter Park, so for people to get to where they want to go, the Wisconsin Rapids Aquatic Center at Witter Park or Witter Field, whichever, so we don't make it more confusing or whatever.
I think that's a good idea, Tom.
And then we got at the other end is the ball, you know, the ball field, historic Witter Field. So I don't know what you want to, if we. I guess to me it'd be Witter Park or Witter Field, whichever you may want to do. But At least that's my first comments here.
Well, I think we need to choose one of the two either, right? The Witter Park or Wisconsin Rapids Recreational Complex. So I would propose that we choose to call it Witter Park.
I agree. Since you asked the people to vote, you can't go back to Witter Field now.
Right.
Yeah, maybe reserve the baseball stadium complex as Witter Field, and then the rest of the area would be Witter Park.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it seems the whole thing would be considered Witter Park, and then you have the Aquatic Center at Witter Park, you have the pickleball courts at Witter Park, you have the Raptors football field at Witter Park.
Oh.
Or baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I would agree.
Well, I'll entertain a motion then.
This is Tom Eklund. I'll make the motion that it be Witter Park.
I'll second that.
There's a motion to name the Aquatic Center and a second to name the current park, Witter Park. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition? Motion
Who's
carried.
gonna update the Google map?
Dawn was looking for something to do.
Okay, good.
Okay, item 5, discuss the new dog park location and the information regarding it. Shane?
So I guess Jake and I can talk about it a little bit.
Mhm.
We do have a large parcel of land off of Saratoga and 24th. Some of it's in the city, some of it isn't, but it is all city-owned property. The parts that are not in the city, we could annex. It butts up next to the Woodlands Business Park, kind of on the back side of Renaissance Learning parking lot behind the building. And so we're kind of thinking that area might be it's not heavily populated. And that, that might be a good area that we could consider pursuing the thoughts of having a dog park there.
When you're looking at this map,
Shane,
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Tom?
yeah, Shane, would the intent be that would just be a dog park?
Yes.
Okay, okay. There would be, there'd have to be a lot of land clearing, right, to go with that?
There's definitely some work in, as you can see in that map there's kind of like this brown area. That's realistically just a lot of deadfall, down trees. So it's not a quick process, and nor would we recommend, obviously clean up the dead trees and the downfall and probably thin out trees, but you still want to keep trees in there.
Yeah. That's the 1 Mile Creek that goes through there, isn't it, too?
That's correct. So it would be that 1 Mile Creek, or that creek there would be kind of dividing point. The parking lot and the yellow kind of potential fenced area is just to kind of give some thought, but yeah, the creek wouldn't, the creek would remain. So maybe, taking a look at, and this is just kind of for to take a look at, but it doesn't necessarily mean this is the proposed fencing or parking area, just the general spot. And yeah, because the parking area could not overlap on the 1 Mile Creek, and potentially maybe there's that small triangle next to that parking lot. Maybe that could be a small dog area. And, but it's really, a concept and a layout would need to be brought forward to the Park and Rec Commission. But I agree that that 1 Mile Creek is a dividing point that's going to remain.
Basically, we brought this up just to get an idea of if you guys, would everyone would be okay with the location.
Yeah, I think the location's good enough. So what, just looking at this map, can you say what's not part of Wisconsin Rapids, or?
I don't recall. That part? Okay, the parking area is the part that's not part of Wisconsin Rapids?
Right. Where it says parking lot,
No, that's not Rapids.
pretty much. Yep. Grand Rapids. is, But it's just a big open field right there, so.
Well, it's definitely one, as opposed to some of the other places we looked at, it definitely, at least, I mean, we have to clear some, but there will be some shade. I mean, that was the problem with a couple of the other, it was been just straight sun
Right,
on a couple of those other places we looked at. You gotta have some kind of shade.
right.
I guess one question, what's its current use as a city facility? Because it looks like sand dunes or
Yep.
sand storage, or what's the current?
So I
use?
think it was an area that maybe the street department used to drop off loads of gravel, stuff like that, but they haven't dropped anything off there in years because all those mounds are full of trees and fescue grass. And then if you do see, there's a kind of a large whole shed looking that says 271 on top. It's a big shed that we use to store Christmas decorations, stuff like that. So that belongs to us.
So looking on GIS, though, that building at 2710 is City of Wisconsin Rapids, and as you move west, or I'm sorry, that's the City of Wisconsin Rapids building, but it's located in the town of Grand Rapids. Oh, hold on, let me figure this out. So, okay, the pull shed at 2710 is Wisconsin Rapids. The house next door is Grand Rapids. And the parcel next to that is also Grand Rapids. The two labeled as parking lot are Grand Rapids, and the one to the west of the parking lot is Grand Rapids. But it looks like the rest of them are in the City of Wisconsin Rapids already. And annexing those into the city isn't a major issue. If we need to.
Anybody out in Zoom? Any questions? Thoughts?
I think it's a good location.
Yeah, I do
I
too.
think so too. Where exactly is the creek?
It's kind of that brown diagonal line that goes through the property. It's
Okay,
partially under the blue parking lot on the right side.
okay. So is it mostly dry, or would we put a little bridge over it, or how would that?
I guess my concern was creating a bridge and kind of creating that separation might create a hazard, but it's something that we can look into. And that may not necessarily be the parking location, but it's something that was drawn out as to kind of give you a perspective.
And what did you say the business was in the lower right corner where there's that paved parking lot?
The lower right-hand corner is the backside of Renaissance Learning, the parking lot behind the building.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Chris, the area is pretty clear if you Google it on Google Maps.
Okay,
You can see a lot better than what the copy we got.
okay.
I think it's a good location.
No, what would be the cost to put up the fence and the parking lot?
Those are all information we'd have to bring forward yet.
Okay. Because that is something that we should look at, right? Just the cost and who's going to pay for it, right?
Yep. I just didn't want to proceed any farther. If you guys did not like or approve this application, I didn't want to
Okay.
waste American Fence time to come out and,
Okay.
but
Because from my standpoint, if we're looking at the parking lot on that side, I think building the bridge across that creek is, like Shane said, could be a hazardous thing, right? So if I was building a parking lot, I'd put it on where the sand part is on the other, by the 2710 building.
Yep.
It's just, it probably would be a cost savings.
Yeah, and it's a pretty decent sized parcel.
Yeah, it is.
So we want to move forward and at least take a look at American Fence.
Yeah, if you guys are comfortable with this location, then we'll continue to work on,
We
you
don't
know,
need a mo-
potential
We don't need a motion
design.
for that then? Or do you want to make a motion to continue to research?
I don't think we really need to unless,
Okay.
yeah, I think just your general overall consensus, and
Okay,
we'll keep you informed as we go along here.
okay. Thanks, guys.
Great.
I think, Mayor, I think, keep, to continue along looking into it, I guess, you know, what the cost would be to clear out and whatever, as far as the down trees, and that would be also with the, you know, to whatever would have to be the final cost to go into something like that.
Absolutely, because there's definitely a mess. to
Just so we
clean
get
up.
so we get the whole total before we do something.
Absolutely. There's definitely some tree work that needs to be done.
Yeah, there's a lot of down trees or laying down, whatever.
Mhm.
So
It's pretty twisted.
there's
and
work to do in there.
There definitely is.
Yeah, I agree with Lee, though. We ought to look at that sandy area for parking. Kind of makes the remainder of it more rectangular. That cuts off, if you basically cut it at that corner. Would save on fencing too then.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, guys. Number 6, discussing the new court plan.
Basically, what we are just, I guess, proposing right away is for everyone to have a copy to go through it. And I guess we gotta start, you know, prioritizing projects that you want to see done in the future here. I know some things are in the works. I know they proposed using some park outlay money for new garbage cans, which are ordered. Things like that, but I think we just gotta prioritize. All right, we just spent $30,000 on a plan. Let's just do something here instead of just using it for a paperweight.
The thought was just, like you said, to give you the document. It is pretty thick and detailed, so take a little time to go through it, go through each park area and suggestions, and it'll take a little bit to read through.
Just kind of going over through it with staff. A lot of it is just your daily maintenance that we just haven't been doing in a decade. You know, they took a lot of good pictures to identify some issues, but you know, if we were to, you know, redo a playground or redo 2 playgrounds, you know, once every 2 or 3 years, you know, this again just steps on, you know, prioritizing what parks are the oldest, and you know, go from there. Because there are some playgrounds in some desperate need of attention. I think Robinson Park, it's either Robinson Park or Lions Park, that was 26 years old, the playground. So,
This is Chris. So would it be appropriate then for us to review this report and then come up with a proposed list of projects and
Yep.
then start to get some costs,
Yep,
you
I
know,
would agree.
associated with those projects. And then I guess we also need to look at the budget piece, you know, what's the budget for 2022, and then we can decide, you know, what projects we want to do for this year, and maybe even come up with each year, what projects do we want to look at.
Yep. And
I
we
mean,
can
just
also look at,
on quick review. Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Craig.
I was just gonna say on quick review, it certainly looks to me like there's work that needs to be done at the majority of the parks. You know, unless they've been touched within the last few years, and I think a conversation around, should we do one park at a time, like, you know, figure out which parks use the most or serves the most people and start there and then work our way down the continuum? Or do you spread the love and do a little bit of something at each of them over a period of time? I think that's a valid question. In my brain, I'd want to do one, get it done, and then move on to another one and move on, but I'm sure you can conceive of it in different manners too.
Yeah, I for one like that idea of actually trying to prioritize based on use. Craig's first thought was because that's where you're going to get, that's the biggest bang for your buck. That's people show up
Yep.
to, that's what they talk about. They're going to share that on Facebook. We get our out of it. And it seems like a lot of the, reading through this a couple times, it's the creature comforts to what they're looking for. You know, I want bathrooms at some of these facilities and
Right.
small upgrades, but
Yep.
yeah, knock out a park and continue to do that, which could let people jump one to one.
Right.
I really like the idea.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it doesn't make sense to go replace a playground at Poplar Springs when Robinson Park has the same outdated equipment. I mean, obviously Robinson Park gets used way more, so. And also looking at these
We
projects, we can also.
We probably have a general idea from staff, like which parks are used most frequently or by serves the most people. Even if you just did a radius map or something, you know, pretty basic, I'm sure we could figure that out.
And I think it's in that plan, Craig. I think they went pretty in-depth and.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Yes,
Yeah.
you're correct
Yep.
about the area that it would serve.
Right, yep.
I did see that.
And then identifying these projects, we can also look to, you know, writing grants for different things too, so. Because there is money out there to be used.
I have a question on the wayfinding signage. Was there already some work happening on that, or is it something that will come through this commission?
That would be a Kyle Kearns question, but there has been work, their footings and all that were placed this fall. So there has been some work done already, yes. I think Kyle Kearns and all that more.
Yeah, that's a project being worked on through our community development department that they have wayfinding signs through various, and kiosks through various parts of the downtown and areas. But as for the specific locations, I do not recall what those are.
So between now and the next meeting, we evaluate, take a look at what seems like a priority for, and then we come up with some lists. And obviously, we can tell from here which, we can tell from here which parks are most used. I concur with Craig on that as well. And Patrick, I think it's important to get the most used ones at the top of the list.
Yeah, I agree. Get the one that gets the most use, and I think go after, attack that and accomplish what we want to with the resources that we got or that grants that we can apply for. And, if there's others if there's another one or two that needs a quick fix of some type or other, we can look at that too. But I think a one at a time thing or whatever to go that route may be the way to go.
Well, I would also consider safety. So if there's
Yes.
playground equipment that needs something, regardless of what park it's at, that should be high on the list as well.
Correct, Tom, right.
I agree. Jake and Dawn, or could you send us a refresher on grant money that's available and ideas that we, before the next meeting too? As well?
Yeah.
The grant money that's available and anything we've talked about using it for?
Yep.
Well, don't forget, we have, room tax money,
Mhm. Yep.
like $250,000
Yep.
available to us.
So what's
Anything
a
else?
good next step? Should we have a subcommittee get together and kind of come up with a proposed list after reviewing the complete plan? And bring it back to the committee in a month or two, or what are your thoughts?
Repeat that, just establish a subcommittee, is that what?
Yeah, she thought an idea of having a subcommittee to bring forth, next steps. I don't know, maybe this next month, everybody take time, go through, staff can prioritize some parts, and then next month, maybe go through this and decide if you want to break up a subcommittee between some members of the Park and Rec Commission and staff. And if you want to discuss that maybe next month, if you want to do that while in your review.
That's a good call. So yeah, in the interim then, take a look at what we think and then talk about a subcommittee and potential meeting with staff on this next month then. We'll also have some numbers available to us in terms of grant money and things like that. But I
And would
agree.
there be budget money available at that time?
Not for 2022.
Unless you wanted to look at some park outlay money and then take that to the finance committee and through council if you had a project that you wanted to work on this year. Otherwise, it could be in addition, next year in the budget process. But you'd still have that opportunity should you want to pull out a project and get the estimates, then go to council for approval of the funding with the park outlay.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, move on to item 7, which is the bills.
Mr. Chairman, I reviewed the bills and I make a motion that we approve.
A motion to approve the bills. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve the bills from January 10th, 2022. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition? Motion carries. Moving on to staff reports.
We've completed all of our fall programming. We're beginning our winter programming. We've started gymnastics this past fall. It's gone very well, even though I've utilized several of the gymnasts from Lincoln High School. It'd be nice to have somebody teach all of the lessons, but unfortunately, we've been rotating instructors, but it's going well. Basketball, pickleball, and volleyball continue going on in the schools, the leagues. They will end up in the beginning of March, end of February. The ice pond warming house has been open. We opened with a grand opening with Santa on December 20th from 5 to 7 p.m. We opened for the season on Sunday, December 20th. It has been cold. There hasn't been a lot of skaters there. We did host a color and skate event this past Saturday. We had about 30 people that participated in that event, even though it was kind of cold. And we have another special event coming up, the Snowman Building Contest on Sunday, January 16th, which is also going to be held at the Aquatic Center, and if we have, hopefully, some snow. And we will begin, our T-ball and pitch-ball registration begins March 1st. And I'm currently touching base with all of the past employees from the last summer to see if they're hoping to come back to work at the Aquatic Center or the rec programs again this summer. I've also been in touch with 2 of the lifeguard instructors, and they are, the one at the Y has already offered 2 classes, and she has a a recertification class and at least 2 more regular lifeguarding courses coming up. She is also going to be offering an adult certification class. And the Lincoln High School teacher, they had it in their curriculum again this past year. And I'm in the works of setting up a special water park certification for the lifeguards for the summer that need to work at our pool. So right now I'm busy working on spring and summer programming and starting to put everything into place. Any questions?
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah,
Jake?
for the park side, we've been doing continued tree care maintenance on the city-owned trees and right-of-ways. We did the installation of all the Christmas decorations down City Hall, Centralia Center, downtown West Riverbank, and the Aquatic Center. Prepping of the lowboard hockey and the ice rink at the Aquatic Center. Sorry, I'm going back through November since last time we had a meeting was October. Preventive maintenance on all of our city-owned buildings, winterizing the chiller at City Hall. We work with Arbor Advantage on planting 17 new trees this late fall. We are now in the process of taking down all the Christmas decorations at, like I said before, City Hall, downtown, Centralia Center. We are also going through all of our city-owned buildings, our bathrooms, sheds, and kind of just doing like a major cleanup on garbage and things we just don't use anymore. We did a big tree maintenance projects at Ben Hansen. And then also when it snows, we've just been busy with snow and ice removal at city-owned buildings and parking lots. That's pretty much all I got.
Thank you, Jake. Any questions, staff? Sure.
When needed, we prune, I guess, would be, and then obviously pruning on some different species of oaks we do later in the fall, in the winter time. We try to stay a little bit ahead of schedule when we know the summer route, when they're going to be doing the chip sealing routes, so that when that time does come, that we are ready to go right away. Yes, we have two certified arborists on the park staff. Okay.
Thank you for your question. Anything out on the Zoom?
Not for me.
Okay. Well, that brings us to item 9, which is adjourn. Do I have a motion?
We'll move.
Yeah, second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Motion carries. Thank you, everybody.